I know how long you have been waiting. Not approximately. Not in general terms. I know the exact number of days. I know the exact number of prayers. I know the exact number of times you woke up believing today would be the day, and went to sleep that night with the answer still not there. I have been counting every single one of those days with you. And I want you to know, before anything else, that not one of them was invisible to me. You have been waiting for something. Maybe you have been waiting so long that you have stopped telling people about it, because you got tired of seeing the look on their faces when the answer still had not come. The look that tried to be encouraging but carried something else underneath it. The look that made you feel like maybe you were missing something, like maybe the problem was your faith, like maybe if you just prayed differently or believed harder or surrendered more completely the answer would finally arrive. You stopped talking about it because talking about it made the waiting feel more visible. And visible waiting is a particular kind of pain. You stopped talking about it. But I never stopped hearing it. Every prayer you whispered when no one was listening, I was listening. Every tear you cried in private, I counted it. Every morning you chose to believe one more time, I saw it. The waiting has cost you things. Not just time, though it has cost you that too. It has cost you energy. The ongoing, relentless expenditure of hope that does not know when it will be replenished. The emotional labor of continuing to believe when the evidence suggests that believing is not producing results. The social cost of being the person in the room who is still waiting for something everyone else seems to have received already. The quiet cost of watching other people step into what you have been praying for while you remain in the same place, wondering what you are doing wrong. I want to speak to something specific right now. The doubt that lives underneath the faith. The question you have not been able to say out loud because it feels like a betrayal of everything you believe, the question that whispers, what if it is not coming? What if the waiting is not a season but a permanent state? What if I have been wrong about what I thought I was believing for? That question is not a sign that your faith is broken. That question is a sign that you are human, and that the waiting has been long, and that hope deferred does genuinely make the heart sick. I know that. I see that. And I am not going to pretend it is simple or easy or that you should just believe harder and the question will go away. What I am going to do instead is tell you the truth about the waiting. The full truth. Not a simplified version designed to make you feel better in the moment. The actual truth about what has been happening during every day that you have been in this season, what I have been doing, what has been building, what the delay has actually been for. Because you deserve to know. And because the truth, the real truth, is going to change the way you see every single day of the wait that has already passed. So stay with me right now. Even if the waiting has made you tired. Even if hope feels harder than it used to. Even if a part of you wants to protect itself from disappointment by not expecting too much from what I am about to say. Stay open. Because what I am about to tell you is the most important thing you are going to hear about this season. And I have been waiting for exactly this moment to say it. Let me take you back through the waiting. Not to make you relive the pain of it, but to show you something you could not see while you were inside it. Something that changes everything about how you understand what has been happening. I want to show you that the waiting was never empty. That every day that felt like nothing was a day in which something was actually happening, you just could not see it from where you were standing. I was there the first day. The day you received the news, or the day the door closed, or the day the relationship ended, or the day the diagnosis came, or the day the dream that had been alive inside you for years suddenly seemed impossible. I was there in that moment, not watching from a distance, not allowing it from a position of detachment. Present. Right there. Closer to you than the air you were breathing. And I did not leave when the first day became the second day, and the second day became a week, and the week became a month, and the month became something longer than you expected to be carrying this. I was there for every single day of the wait. Not one day passed that I was not present, not one night passed that I was not aware, not one prayer was spoken into a void. Every word reached me. Every tear was received. Every act of faith in the middle of uncertainty was seen and held and valued by me. I saw the mornings that were harder than others. The ones where the weight of the waiting hit you before you were fully awake, where the first thought of the day was the thing you were still waiting for, and the day had not even begun yet and it was already heavy. I saw the way you pushed through those mornings. The way you got up anyway. The way you made coffee and answered emails and showed up for the people who needed you and did the ordinary things of an ordinary day while carrying something extraordinary underneath all of it. I saw the nights that were harder than others. The ones where the quiet of the night made everything louder, where the unanswered question that you could distract yourself from during the day became impossible to ignore when the house went still. The nights you lay awake turning it over and over, trying to find the angle from which it made sense, trying to find the place where you had gone wrong or the thing you had missed or the prayer you had not yet prayed. I saw you in those nights. I was there. And I want you to know, you were not wrong. You did not miss something. You were simply in a season that required more time than you knew how to trust me for. I saw every conversation you had about this. The ones where you were honest about the struggle and the ones where you kept it together and said you were fine. I saw the conversations you had with me when no one else was listening, the raw ones, the angry ones, the ones where you asked me why and did not get an answer that satisfied you in the moment. Those conversations were not a sign of weak faith. They were a sign of real relationship. People who do not care do not cry out. People who have given up do not argue. The fact that you were still bringing it to me, even when bringing it to me felt like bringing it into silence, was itself an act of faith that I received completely. I saw you love other people through your own waiting. This is the part one want to name specifically, because it is one of the most extraordinary things I witnessed during this season. You showed up for other people while you were in pain yourself. You celebrated things for others that you were still waiting to experience. You gave encouragement to people who were struggling while your own struggle was still unresolved. You prayed for healing for others while your own healing had not yet arrived. You did not let what you were going through make you unable to see what other people were going through. That cost you something. And I saw every moment of it. Now I want to tell you something that I need you to hear with your whole heart, not just your mind. The delay was not punishment. I want to say that again because I know how many times the enemy has tried to convince you otherwise. The waiting was not because you did something wrong. It was not because your faith was insufficient. It was not because I was testing you to see if you would break. It was not because I was busy with someone else's prayer and had not gotten to yours yet. The delay had a purpose. A specific, intentional, loving purpose that I am going to explain to you right now. There are things that can only be built in waiting. Not in the arrival, in the waiting. The character that forms when hope has to be chosen rather than felt. The depth that develops when trust has to be maintained without visible evidence. The strength that grows when you have to keep moving forward without knowing when the season will change. These things cannot be manufactured in the good times. They cannot be produced by smooth sailing or quick answers or immediate provision. They are the exclusive product of the hard, slow, patient work of a season that requires more of you than you thought you had to give. I was not withholding the answer to punish you. I was withholding the answer to prepare you. There is a version of you that exists on the other side of this waiting that could not have existed without the waiting. I was building that version. Every single day. Think about what you know now that you did not know when the waiting began. The things you understand about yourself, your capacity for endurance that you did not know you had, the depth of your faith that only became visible when it was tested, the clarity about what truly matters that comes from having something withheld long enough to reveal how much you actually wanted it. Think about the people you have met during the waiting, the connections that formed in the shared experience of difficulty, the relationships that would never have existed if the answer had come immediately and you had moved on before those people came into your life. Think about the things that the waiting has protected you from. This is the part that is hardest to see from the inside of a waiting season, but from where I stand, it is often the most significant thing happening. There were versions of the answer that could have arrived earlier that would have hurt you. Opportunities that looked like what you were asking for but were not actually what I was building for you. Relationships that seemed like the answer but would have cost you more than the answer was worth. Doors that you wanted to walk through that, if you had walked through them when you wanted to, would have led you somewhere you could not have survived. I closed those. I delayed those. I protected you from those, even though the protection looked, from your side, like denial. There were also things that needed to change, in you, in the situation, in the people connected to your story, before the answer could arrive and actually work the way it was supposed to work. Soil needs preparation before seed can grow in it. Ground needs to be broken and turned and watered before what is planted in it can take root and flourish. The waiting was not nothing. The waiting was preparation. And the preparation was love, even when it did not feel like love. Even when it felt like the opposite of love. Even when it felt like silence. I was preparing the ground for what I was about to plant in your life. And the preparation had to be thorough enough to support the weight of what was coming. I want to address something else directly. The moments during the waiting when it seemed like the answer came for someone else, when you watched someone else receive what you had been praying for, and something in you struggled with that. Something that you may have felt guilty about feeling. I understand that struggle. And I want you to know that what I gave someone else was never taken from what I had for you. My provision does not work that way. What I have for you has always been specifically yours, sized for you, timed for you, designed for the particular contours of your life and your calling and your capacity. Someone else receiving their answer was never evidence that your answer was not coming. It was simply evidence that I work individually, in different timing, through different channels, for different purposes. Your answer was always on its way. It still is. I want to pull back the curtain on the waiting season. I want to show you what has actually been happening, not what it looked like from the outside, not what it felt like from the inside, but what was actually occurring in the unseen while every visible day looked the same. Because the waiting was not empty. The waiting was one of the most active periods of my work in your life. You just could not see it from where you were standing. While you were waiting, I was working on you. Not against you. For you. In you. Through you. The things that needed to change in how you see yourself, the beliefs that would have sabotaged what I was preparing to give you if they had still been operating when the answer arrived. The patterns that would have led you to misuse what I was about to release if they had not been addressed first. The wounds that needed healing before you could hold what was coming without that wound contaminating it. I was doing that work during the waiting. Quietly. Without announcement. In the daily ordinary moments that did not feel like anything significant was happening. The waiting was not wasted time. The waiting was the most important work I have ever done in your life. What I was building in you during the wait is what will allow you to hold what I am about to give you without losing it. While you were waiting, I was working on the situation. The circumstances that needed to align before the answer could arrive and actually work. The people whose paths needed to cross yours at exactly the right moment, and who were not ready yet when you first asked, who needed their own preparation before the connection would be what it needed to be. The doors that needed to be closed first, the ones that looked like opportunities but were actually distractions from the specific thing I was building for you. The timing that needed to be exactly right, because a seed planted in the wrong season does not produce the same harvest as a seed planted at the right time. While you were waiting, I was protecting things you did not know needed protecting. The dream that you were carrying, I was guarding it during the waiting. Keeping it alive in you even when everything visible suggested it was dying. The calling that lives at the center of who you are, I was preserving it, deepening it, making it more specific and more true during every day of the season that felt directionless. The relationships that are going to matter most in the next chapter of your life, I was preparing those people, moving them into position, getting them ready for the moment when your paths would finally converge. While you were waiting, I was removing things. This is the part that often hurt the most during the waiting, because removal does not feel like provision. The people who were not meant to be in the next chapter of your story, I was quietly creating distance. The habits and patterns that would have limited what you could receive, I was using the pressure of the waiting to surface them so they could be addressed. The version of the dream that was too small for what I actually had planned, I was expanding it in you during the waiting, making room for something larger than what you had originally asked for. And while you were waiting, I was building in the unseen what will become visible in the next season. The connections being arranged. The provision being gathered. The doors being prepared from the inside. The specific sequence of events that will unfold in the days and weeks and months ahead, I have been orchestrating that sequence during every day of the waiting. Nothing about what is coming was left to chance. Nothing about the timing is accidental. I have been building it with the same care and precision and love that I used when I built everything else that has ever mattered in your life. And it is ready. It is almost ready. And when it arrives, you are going to understand why it took exactly as long as it took. I need to tell you something about the season you are in right now, something that I have not been able to say until this moment because this moment is the right moment to say it. The waiting is ending. Not in some distant, unspecified future that requires you to keep holding on indefinitely without any sense of how much longer. I am talking about a shift that is already in motion. A movement that has already begun in the unseen and is now approaching the point where it becomes visible. You are closer to the end of this season than you have ever been. And I need you to hear that with your whole heart. I know that you have heard things like this before, or felt like you heard them, felt like something in you said it was almost time, and then the time passed and nothing changed and the disappointment of the almost arrival was its own particular kind of pain. I understand why that history makes it hard to receive what I am saying right now without bracing for another disappointment. I am not asking you to pretend that history does not exist. I am asking you to let me speak past it, to let what I am saying reach the part of you that has not stopped believing, even when believing was the hardest thing you have ever done. Something is shifting right now. Not eventually, now. In the unseen, in the arrangement of circumstances, in the positioning of what I have been building, something has moved. And what has moved in the unseen always becomes visible in the seen. Watch for it. It is coming. The signs of the shift will not always look dramatic. I rarely work in the dramatic first, I work in the quiet, the small, the ordinary that carries something extraordinary inside it. A conversation that opens a door you did not know was there. A connection with someone who carries a piece of your future that you could not have found on your own. An idea that arrives with a clarity and a certainty that feels different from your own thoughts, because it is. A circumstance that resolves in a way that makes no logical sense given everything that was against it. These are the signs. These are the fingerprints of a shift that has been set in motion. I want to talk to you specifically about the area where the waiting has been longest and hardest. The thing you have almost stopped hoping for, the one that you have learned to live around because hoping for it directly felt too dangerous. I want you to bring that thing back into your expectation right now. Not as a demand. Not as a test of whether I will perform for you. But as an act of trust, the kind that says, I believe you are good, and I believe you have not forgotten, and I believe that what I have been carrying in hope for this long is something you put in me for a reason. The shift that is coming is going to address that specific thing. I am not going to tell you the exact form it will take, because the form I have planned is better than the form you have been imagining, and I do not want you to receive the real thing and miss it because it does not look like what you were expecting. What I will tell you is this, the answer to what you have been waiting for longest is part of what is coming. It has always been part of what I was building. And the version of it that is coming, shaped by the waiting, refined by the preparation, timed by my specific knowledge of what you needed and when, is worth more than the version that would have arrived when you first asked for it. I want to give you something practical right now, because the shift that is coming requires something from you. Not a performance. Not a demonstration of faith that has to look a certain way. But a specific posture of heart that will allow what I am releasing to actually land in your life instead of passing over you because you were not positioned to receive it. I want to tell you what that posture looks like. First, stop rehearsing the waiting as your identity. The waiting has been so long that it has begun to feel like a permanent state rather than a temporary season. And when a season feels permanent, we begin to organize our entire inner life around it. We stop expecting change. We stop making plans that assume the answer will come. We stop holding space in our hearts for the thing we are waiting for because holding space and having it remain empty is too painful to sustain. I understand why that happened. But I need you to reverse it right now. The waiting is not your identity. The waiting is a passage. And passages have exits. Open your hands. The posture of receiving is open hands, not clenched fists holding on to survival, not crossed arms protecting against disappointment. Open hands. Ready to receive what I am about to place in them. That posture starts right now, in this moment, before anything visible has changed. Second, begin to speak differently about what is coming. Not in a performance of positivity that ignores the real difficulty, but in a deliberate choice to align your words with what I have said rather than with what the waiting has felt like. When the old narrative tries to reassert itself, the one that says it is never coming, the one that says you have been foolish for believing this long, interrupt it. Replace it with what is actually true. I am in a season of waiting that is ending. What I have been waiting for is coming. God has not forgotten. The answer is on its way. Third, pay attention to the small things. I said earlier that the signs of the shift will not always look dramatic. They will often look ordinary. A nudge to reach out to someone you have not spoken to in a while. An opportunity that seems small but carries something significant inside it. A door that opens in an unexpected direction that does not look like what you have been praying for but that leads, if you walk through it, to exactly what you have been praying for. Do not dismiss the small things in this season. The small things are how I move most often. And the small things of this season are carrying larger things inside them than they appear to. Fourth, release the timeline. I know this is the hardest one. The waiting has already been longer than you planned, and asking you to release the timeline feels like asking you to stop caring about when. I am not asking you to stop caring. I am asking you to stop letting the timeline control you. The anxiety of the not yet time is taking energy that you need for what is coming. Every moment you spend calculating how much longer and comparing your timeline to other people's timelines and wondering what is wrong with your timing, that is energy that could be spent positioning yourself for what I am already moving toward you. Release the timeline to me. Trust that my timing is not late. It has never been late. And it will not be late for this. And fifth, receive this moment as part of the answer. Right now. This message, this word, this specific thing I am saying to you in this specific moment of your specific waiting, this is not separate from what I am doing. This is part of it. I brought you to this moment intentionally. I arranged for these words to find you today because today is part of the preparation for what is coming. The shift I told you about, it includes this. The recalibration of your expectation that is happening right now as you receive what I am saying, this is part of the answer arriving. Let it be. Let this moment be part of what I am doing. Because it is. I want to show you something about yourself that the waiting has built, something that you may not be able to see clearly because you have been inside the process and it is hard to see what is being produced while you are still in the middle of being produced. I want to hold up a mirror right now. Not the mirror of comparison that shows you what you do not yet have. A true mirror, one that shows you who you have actually become during this season. You are stronger than you were when the waiting began. Not in a way that required you to become hard, in a way that required you to become deep. The roots of your faith have gone further into the ground during this season than they ever would have gone in a season of easy answers and immediate provision. You have learned to trust in the dark, which is a completely different skill than trusting in the light. You have learned to hold hope when hope is not producing visible results, which is the most mature form of hope that exists. You have learned that you can survive seasons that you were certain would break you, which means you will never again be as afraid of hard seasons as you once were. The waiting did not diminish you. The waiting built you. Every day of the wait added something to who you are that could not have been added any other way. What you carry now, the depth, the faith, the endurance, these are not consolation prizes for the delay. These are the most valuable things I have ever given you. You have developed a compassion during this waiting that you did not have before. The ability to sit with someone in their pain without needing to fix it, because you know what it is like to sit in pain that cannot be immediately fixed. The ability to offer hope to someone who is struggling to believe, because you have had to find hope yourself when believing was hard. The ability to be truly present with someone in a dark season, because you have lived in one long enough to know that presence matters more than answers. That compassion is going to be one of the most significant things you carry into the next chapter of your life. You have developed a clarity during this waiting about what actually matters. The things you thought you needed at the beginning of this season, some of them have fallen away. Not because I took them from you, but because the waiting revealed which of your desires were deep and which were surface. Which of your dreams were truly yours and which you had borrowed from other people's lives. Which of your goals were connected to your actual calling and which were connected to comparison or fear or the need to prove something. That clarity is priceless. Most people spend their entire lives trying to find it. The waiting gave it to you. And you have developed a relationship with me during this waiting that is different from what it was before. Not perfect, I am not claiming that. But deeper. More honest. More real. The version of faith that exists after a long, hard waiting season is not a faith built on feeling, it is a faith built on choice, on decision, on the deliberate return to trust every time trust felt impossible. That kind of faith is unshakable in ways that the faith built in easy seasons is not. You have that now. It was built here, in this waiting, in the days that felt like nothing was happening. And you will carry it into everything that comes next. I want to say something to you now that I have been waiting to say. Something that I mean with the full weight of everything I am. I am sorry it took so long. Not because the delay was a mistake, it was not. Not because the preparation was unnecessary, it was essential. But because I see what the waiting cost you. I see the tears. I see the nights. I see the mornings when hope felt like something you had to manufacture from nothing. I see what you gave up to keep believing. And I want to acknowledge all of it, not explain it away, not minimize it, but see it fully and say, I see what this cost you. And I am sorry for the pain of it. At the same time, and I need you to hold both of these things together, I am telling you with absolute certainty that it was worth it. Not eventually worth it. Not worth it in some distant future when you finally see the full picture. Worth it in a way that you are already beginning to experience and will continue to discover in the days and weeks and months ahead. The version of what is coming, shaped by the waiting, built in the delay, prepared with the precision of someone who knew exactly what you would need and exactly when you would be ready to receive it, is worth more than the version that would have arrived when you first asked. I am sorry it took so long. And I promise you, with everything I am, it was worth the wait. Every single day of it. Every tear. Every moment of doubt. Every morning you chose to believe one more time. All of it was building to this. And this is going to be more than you asked for. I want you to know what is coming, not in specifics, because the specifics are better experienced than described. But in character. What is coming carries the character of everything I have been building during the waiting. It will fit you precisely, sized for who you have become during the season, not for who you were when the season began. It will arrive in a way that makes sense of the delay, that shows you clearly why the timing was what it was and why an earlier arrival would not have worked the way this will work. It will be more than you asked for, because what I build is always more generous than what we ask for, and the waiting gave me more time to build. I want to speak to the specific areas of your life where the waiting has been hardest. The relationship you have been praying for, or the healing in the relationship you already have. The financial situation that has felt stuck. The health issue that has not resolved the way you asked it to. The career path or calling that has felt delayed. The dream that you have been carrying for years that has not yet found its full expression. I am speaking to all of it right now. Every specific thing you have been carrying in hope, I have not forgotten any of it. And the shift that is coming is going to address more of it than you are currently expecting. That has been building during the wait. The provision that has been gathering. The connections that have been positioning. The doors that have been being prepared from the inside. The healing that has been working its way from the inside out. All of it is converging now. All of it is moving toward the moment when it becomes visible in your life. And when it arrives, and it is arriving, you are going to look back at the waiting with different eyes. You are going to see it the way I have always seen it, as the most important season of your life. The season that built the foundation for everything that comes after it. So hold on. Not with clenched fists and white knuckles, you have been doing that long enough. Hold on with open hands. With a heart that is ready to receive rather than just endure. With eyes that are beginning to see the signs of the shift rather than only the evidence of the delay. With a faith that has been tested and has held and is now carrying something in it that it did not carry before, the unshakable knowing that I have been in this with you the whole time. That I have not forgotten. That the answer is not only possible, it is coming. It is already on its way. And it was worth every single day of the wait. I am sorry it took so long. But I promise you, it was worth the wait. Your answer is coming.